There we go. And buonasera a tutti. Good evening, y'all. I'm back with my buddies here, the two best co-hosts I could ask for on this Thursday, November 13th, 2025, just past 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. It is Ryan SCOOP Woodhams here with, I'll start from the bottom, just like my guy Drake, uh, Mr. Brandon Furtado. How you doing, boss?
I'd be a lot better if my computer didn't freeze every 2 seconds, but that's because Chrome and this computer is 1,000 years old. But we are here tonight. We have a lot to talk about. I'm doing good.
Oh,
How are
yeah.
you?
Good to see you. And yeah, I highly recommend. There's that song, "All I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas," or "All I Want is a Hippopotamus for Christmas." However it goes, all I want is Brandon to get a new computer for Christmas.
Oh,
Um,
I'm
and I
working on it. Don't worry about it.
with a
and
hippopotamus.
I think everybody over on FAH would agree with me. But for now, we're not on FAH. We're on K&K, and I'm gonna pivot over to my buddy Jay Cruger. Jay, how you doing? I like that jersey. At least
Thanks,
for the
man.
appearance. At least for the appearance of it. I can't say I like the team on it, but I like the appearance of the jersey.
Hey, man. It's a good team. It's a good team. Great team so far. We're in fourth place. I got the vintage jersey. They just returned to the black jerseys. And yet again, this is like the second week in a row where I got a new jersey just before the show. So I'm pretty hyped about that. So, gotta have an Allen Iverson jersey. I loved Allen Iverson growing up. So,
Yeah.
him and
Um,
Jason Kidd. So, Jason Kidd, of course,
respect.
yeah.
Yeah, respect. And I sit here, we're talking NBA. I sit here as somebody who could at any moment hear my favorite team fired our head coach. There was a lot of rumors last night that Wllie Green could be out in New Orleans if they lost to Portland, which they in fact did. That being said, there was actually a pretty competitive game for most of it. I don't know what sort of bugaboo we have with the third quarter, but the third quarter has been like, how people say, we're a second half team or whatever. We're apparently a first, second, and fourth quarter team, and I don't know what happened to the third quarter. There's just some sort of curse that period of time has with this team, and I don't know what it is, but we'll get into so much more. And before we jump in, I just want to remind everybody down there, Jay, correct me if this is no longer active, but I believe you can still go on to counselor_Kruger on Instagram to donate to the ongoing, the wake of the ongoing damage down in Jamaica with Hurricane Melissa, to the victims of that tragedy as well. So I do encourage y'all, if possible, to jump in. Any little bit helps.
Yep, it's still active too. And it's still on my
All right.
profile. Never took it.
Just wanted to make sure of that. So we kick off this show with, as I'm sure we're all watching right now, Major League Baseball is about to have its two MVP announcements for the 2025 season. National League expected to be announced first. That is between Mets outfielder with an asterisk, Juan Soto, with Dodgers two-way superstar Shohei Ohtani, and I believe Kyle Schwarber, I believe, is the other one.
Yep.
Yeah, so Phillies outfielder Kyle Schwarber being the third one there. And then on the American League side, we've got the hotly contested, what seems to be hotly contested and hotly debated. It was described earlier by someone on MLB Network as the biggest competition for the AL MVP since Miguel Cabrera and Mike Trout in 2012. So I'll be curious to see how close this vote actually is between Yankee outfielder Aaron Judge and Mariners catcher Cal Raleigh. The third one in that competition, I believe, is Jose Ramirez from
Yep.
Cleveland. Man, I'll say this. I feel bad for Jose Ramirez.
Uh,
He's one of
Yeah.
those guys, like we talk about these players who just happen to be playing at the unfortunate time where they don't get the recognition they deserve. I feel bad for Jose Ramirez, man, because in most worlds he'd probably have 4 or 5 top 2 MVP finishes by now, and probably won at least one or two. But man, just immense respect to him. He definitely is one of the more underrated players, and not just because he plays in Cleveland. I don't think. I think just again just happens to be playing at the same time as so many other great players. But somebody I definitely respect and somebody that I think is definitely going to have a strong consideration for Hall of Fame when all is said and done. But let's just go around the horn. I'll start with the American League, even though I think it's pretty close. We agree that it's number 1 Judge, Raleigh 2, and Ramirez 3, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I figured that wouldn't take too long.
100%.
National League. In fact, for what it's worth, I talked to a couple of our Mariner fan friends earlier today, and even they agree that it's Judge 1, Raleigh 2, and Ramirez 3. So shout out to them, Rob and Shane, 2 of our good friends who are Mariners fans, but also some of the most objective people you'll meet when it comes to sports, at least baseball. I think that maybe that's a little different when it comes to debating Seahawks Eagles, but I kid obviously. Shout out to those guys. But over to the National League now, which maybe I think has a little more ability to be debated across those 3 guys. So we've got, as we mentioned, we got Kyle Schwarber from Philly, we got Juan Soto from the Mets, and we've got obviously Shohei Ohtani from LA. So where you guys got those top 3 on your list? Are we all in agreement on those 2? Or Brandon, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think it's Ohtani, Schwarber, and then Soto. And I mean, that's not really a knock on Soto. Well, I mean, it's just that, the first half of the year was rough. It took him a while to get going. And then when he finally did, it was almost a little too late. And then, the numbers are great at the end of the season, but they also didn't make the postseason, which to me holds a lot of water. Like if Joe Burrow can't win an MVP with the Bengals, then I'm not going to give Soto an MVP.
I think it's a little bit different for those 2 sports and those 2 positions, but I can see where you're coming from. I do look at quarterbacks a little bit differently, but I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, like it's, to me, like when a team, it's an individual award, but to me, like the team has to actually benefit from your team has to actually do something, make the postseason. That's what it means to me. So I mean, Ohtani's probably the best all-around player in baseball. So to me, he's the clear 1. Schwarber Schwarber's always had really good years, pretty much for a long time in his career. But and without him, I mean, my God, they're showing it now. The slugging percentage against left-handed pitchers was far and away the highest it's ever been in his career. He just mashed everybody.
And that's insane when you think of, 1, the fact that he's a lefty, but 2, also the fact that he was always really already thought of as a pretty good lefty slugger from both against both sides. So the fact that he hit as a new level in what I'm pretty sure is he's early to mid 30s, and it kind of makes me wonder when we get into because he's a free agent this offseason. It kind of makes me wonder when we start looking at, because for a while it was generally thought that sort of 26 to 28 year range was kind of beginning of your prime, and that kind of ended around age 32. We're seeing these guys kind of have resurgences sort of in their early to mid 30s. I kind of wonder if that's going to affect free agency going forward, and that'll make it more interesting for me to watch the CBA agreements next year with things like the arbitration years, and will they still have it be 6 years before free agency, or will that change? Because I think there's a lot of interesting dynamics at play here.
Yeah, 32 is pretty much like the new, 27, 28, it feels like. So it's, it's kind of crazy to see these guys kind of getting better as they get older. I mean, that's for Schwarber, that's for Ohtani, that's for Judge. And it's crazy to think Soto is basically, Scoop is basically our age, and he's still,
which is so freaking insane to me. There's a guy who is our age who is making more off one contract than both of us combined will likely ever see in our life.
Oh my God, it's ridiculous. It really is. Like it's, he just turned 27 right before Halloween, so he's basically, we'll be 26 next year.
Yeah, I'll be 26 in as we say on the show. I'll be 26 in August. I've been waiting for my next opportunity to say that. Yeah. Do you have anything else to add, or can I kick it over to Jay real quick?
No, I'll let Jay take it.
All right, Jay, your perception on how these top 3 will likely fall, and do you agree with how you think they'll fall?
I just want to say, Warming Bernabel of the Colorado Rockies got robbed of an MVP spot. Honestly, I think he's more deserving than Shohei Ohtani. I just want to see Scoop's head explode, kind of. Scoop, I love your look, dude.
Well, it was because I didn't know you were going into Ohtani at the point, and I was thinking there for a second. I was like, I don't even know if some Colorado fans know who Warming Bernabel is.
Are we really going to sit here and say Warming Bernabel is not more instrumental to the Rockies than Shohei is to the Los Angeles Dodgers?
Man.
I don't even know what's important to the Rockies at this point.
Yeah, me neither, dude. I'll probably be the GM next week.
Well, we're going to talk about the Rockies in a little bit because of the hire that they made. But for now. That remarkable pull aside,
I think, in all seriousness, I think it'd be weird if it were anybody else other than Shohei. I mean, I used to use like my criticism to be like, yeah, he's not even really pitching at Cy Young levels, like when he was in the contest with Judge back when he was in the American League. He's posted, I think, a 2.87 ERA while still hitting remarkably well. I think the only thing that Kyle Schwarber leads him in is really home runs, and I think that's by one. Yeah, dude, it's his. Again, it's in yet another year where Shohei deservedly says that he's a unicorn, man. Like the dude is literally the best player of all, not of our generation, of all time, really. Yeah, we're watching one of the best players play the game, and that's good for the sport. He's part of the reason why the World Series got as many views as it did, in all honesty. Sometimes I hate to admit it because he's on a team that I not be on. He's good. He's just really freaking good. And he's not going to stop being good anytime soon. Although what this does do is kind of a compelling case for something that I saw a really long time ago, where there should be an MVP award, but there also should be as an equally an important most outstanding player award. Because a lot of people are, kind of justifiably so, annoyed with the fact that.
Oh wait, I think I see where you're going with it. Actually,
yeah, I'm not annoyed that Shohei's winning every year, despite my comedy about that. But some people look at it a little funny. It's like, are we just, as long as he's in the league and as long as he's pitching well, are we going to keep doing this, or is he even going to be? He's still going to be close in the conversation because he pitches? And, I think that bears some credibility, not this year, because, again, as I said, he's clearing Kyle Schwarber. He's definitely clearing Juan Soto. No bias. But, it bears some thinking about. I think you go back to the American League race. Of course, I'm going to say that Judge, and it's going to be true, because for the same reasons I'm talking about Shohei Ohtani clearing Schwarber, Judge definitely clears Cal Raleigh. Really and truthfully, those categories that Cal Raleigh leads in the American League are based on, the best ability we all agree on being availability. And that's because there were 10 days where Aaron Judge was not available because of the injury, which, again, he bounced back from as an understatement. So, I mean, I think there's a case to be made for a most outstanding player award. I think, it's almost you can say that, it's almost parallel with the MVP. Not really. I think everybody kind of deserves recognition. I mean, it's not a participation trophy. I think, there's a lot. You look at a player like Cal Raleigh, you look at players like Kyle Schwarber, and you say, what should be factored in is, again, the ability for you to put that team in the postseason. Mm-hmm. I think at the end of the day, the Dodgers still make the postseason in the same place they made it without Shohei Ohtani. Remember, there was nobody who thought that the Dodgers were going to be the 3 seed this year in the NFL.
I'm not gonna lie. If you hadn't said it, I wouldn't have remembered that they were the 3 seed.
It's good. They just confirmed a Shohei MVP.
All right. Well, there you go.
Yep.
I'm curious where I'm looking forward to them showing the vote total.
They did. Schwarber second, Soto third, Perdomo fourth, and Turner fifth.
You said that with a little bit of surprise. I'm not entirely surprised that Perdomo was fourth.
Yeah, I just kind of forgot because the
I'm
Diamondbacks.
more surprised that Turner was up there, honestly. I mean, yes, he's got the batting title, but still.
Yeah, he got one third place vote. He didn't get any second or first or whatever. But Perdomo got I think 3 second place votes, which is actually pretty impressive.
So Warming Bernabelle didn't make it.
Oh my gosh! I want to.
Jacob How did Jacob Stallings rank?
Shout out to you because that's literally the only reason I had any chance of thinking of Warming Bernabelle tonight. But I will kind of push this back a little bit and just kind of get your thoughts on this. So you talk about adding a most outstanding player award because, it just feels like Ohtani's going to get it every damn year. We didn't do that with Barry Bonds. We didn't do that with Tom Brady. If you want to go to another sport, it just because one person's so damn good. I mean, it doesn't feel like that automatically necessitates, putting in another award. I understand where you're coming from, and just that it makes it kind of a little less interesting for us to follow that. But I mean, if he's the best player in the league, 10 years of his career, he deserves 10 MVPs. Unless one of those years they make the case that he doesn't because the Dodgers are for some reason 62 and 100, which I don't see how that would happen. But
wow, this is an impressive stat. Players to win MVP award in each of first 2 seasons with the team. Ohtani is the first since Maris did it for the Yankees in 60-61. Wow.
Yeah.
Ohtani's the first what?
Ohtani's
the first player to win MVP in his first 2 seasons with a team since Roger Maris in 60 and 61.
That's not bad.
So yeah. Anyway, so I got where that was coming from, just to kind of if you want to use the term share the wealth or spread the love or whatever. I get that, but it's also just I don't know. It kind of just feels weird to me to implement that now solely off the basis of.
Yeah, I'm hearing you on that.
Yeah. But I will say I didn't get a chance to say my guess of the 3, but I did think it was going to be Ohtani. I actually thought that Soto and Schwarber might be the other way around, just because I thought voters were going to have more weight on the number of homers and steals like they did last year for Acuna. But I do understand that 73 steals is a little different than 38. I do understand that. But I don't know. I guess I kind of just thought that would be the case, especially with the way that the league has been prioritizing offense recently. But I guess I was incorrect on that. But yeah. So did they have the actual the full vote totals, or did they just have the rankings?
They had the breakdown of what each of those 5 guys got in terms of first place, second place, and third place votes.
Yeah.
It was pretty much Ohtani by a mile.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I figured it would be.
Yeah.
Here we are. Full vote breakdown is now available by BBWAA. I'm not going to run through every single number, but okay, Ohtani did unanimously get the first place votes. Schwarber got 23 of 30 votes for second. And then Soto was a kind of a hodgepodge between second, third, and fourth, mostly third. I will be curious to see. And what I do like now, I do like that the individual votes and the individual ballots are being put out. I don't think that there's any major disagreements that people can have on this year's ballot, but I do like that voters are more accountable now for their ballots than maybe they once were. I didn't even realize Tim Kirkjian had a ballot.
Whoa, so that's going to be the so I didn't realize what they had in the corner of the screen here. They had the cover of basically the magazine that's going to be now coming out for Shohei's MVP thing. It just says unicorn across it. So that's actually
have they counted mail-in and absentee ballots on this yet?
No, you know what's funny? They posted a thing, right, that shows Shohei has the second most MVPs next to Barry Bonds ever. I'm like, yeah, well, Judge would be joining him if it wasn't Rob in 2017. I'm still pissed. We're all still pissed.
Yeah, no, what did I just say? But yeah, so we'll see the AL MVPs come out in, I'm going to guess probably around 15, 20 minutes. They usually want to drag this thing on close to the end of the show. So we'll see how that transpires. Some other, because there was a lot of the major news that came out today. We had the announcement that 14 players, they described it as 14 people affiliated with sports, charged in mafia-backed betting ring involving athletes. It says, according to authorities, Joseph Little Joe Perna, a member of the Lucchese crime family, and his associates ran a nationwide network of bookmakers who used offshore websites to facilitate approximately $2 million in bets between 2022 and 2024. New Jersey Attorney General Matthew Platkin said several college athletes operated sports books at the direction of Perna's organization. Platkin did not answer questions regarding which colleges or sports were involved in the alleged betting ring. Perna, 55, of Fairfield, New Jersey. I've actually been to Fairfield quite a bit.
Yeah.
Is charged along with his sons, stepson, nephews, and others with racketeering, conspiracy, gambling offenses, and money laundering. The NJ Attorney General's often said. Perna allegedly acted as the financier, and I'm not going to read this whole ESPN report. But so we've got that in the front of the pages now. We also, for those who didn't see it, Emmanuel apparently was arrested at JFK Airport today. Turned himself in around 2 p.m. from what I remember seeing. So we got those kind of things developing in real time. And here was one of the things that kind of came up that was sort of being disputed, for lack of a better word, is there was the whole conversation about the fact that some of these charges at maximum could carry up to 65 years. And the fact that, people were saying, well, these are not actual like physical crimes against people, and they're getting 65 years, and some people are back within sports for other things. I fully see where they're coming from. It's an argument that I've made in the past myself. The one thing that I will say, and where I think the league in general, and when I say the league, I mean in cross sports in general, not just one specific league, where I think they come down on this is that there's a difference between what is the league's dominion to have authority over and to police or whatever, and then there's different areas where it's for the justice system of the country to handle. And I think that might be what they're looking at here, is that this is something that actually threatens the integrity of the league itself and the integrity of the game itself, which I think they're going to say that that's their priority, rather than, and that other things are more under the discretion of the federal justice system. Not that you agree with that per se, but do you think that that's the argument that they're going to make? Because that they're going to get asked that question.
I mean, I think so. I just think there's a lot of gray area when it comes to stuff like this, because I'm like, when I look at when I saw the whole, Rob and I were talking about the whole like 65-year penalty thing, and I'm like, well, why does somebody who is involved in this get 65 years when there's still like players or just people in general walking the streets who committed murder?
Right.
Like to me.
Well, also let's keep in perspective. 65 years right now is the max. And then sentencing guidelines take effect. I would believe like Ortiz and Clase would be first-time offenders unless there's something on the federal docket that I don't know about. So it's not likely they're going to be sentenced to the maximum.
No, I agree with you, but I think that because it was even a possibility, and because, again, I think that people were looking at it in the context of, what we were talking about with, like you said, whatever heinous crime you want to mention, that people have been walking the streets who have been guilty of things that were, or even not even walking the streets, actively back in these leagues.
Yeah.
For something super, heinous. And like, for example, you've got guys who were betting who were banned for life in different sports. I can't think of the names of the guys right now, but who were automatically was one penalty and banned for life. And then you saw people who were committing, assault felonies and whatever the case may be. And it was, 10 games, 8 games, 12 games, whatever. So I think that, which is a legitimate grievance to have, obviously.
Totally.
But I do believe that that's where they're going to say is that that's for the dominion of the federal justice system. Yeah. This is for the dominion of the integrity of the league. And while I think that that's kind of a murky argument to make, I do think that that's probably where they're going to go, but where this kind of takes a turn, though, is that this does now involve the FBI, and this does now involve, those elements where the justice system has, gotten to the level of being involved. So I think sometimes that's the argument that I've seen and heard them make, but I question what level of they'll even use that argument now with this. But yeah, I just wanted y'all's thoughts on that.
This is weird. Just real quick about the AL MVP. They had all three of the main candidates there. But it's funny that it's just sad that Jose Ramirez is not being interviewed. Like it's just Judge and Raleigh, and Ramirez isn't even on screen. Like he's not there.
Yeah, they're not even putting in Joe Boyle from the Tampa Bay Rays.
Oh jeez.
Yeah,
I forgot Joe Boyle was on Tampa Bay. Like,
I don't know if you knew Joe Boyle.
you know who I think is going to end up popping up that we're not talking about obviously for AL MVP is Caminero. He's going to end up, I think, being on there somewhere.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me, to be honest. It wouldn't. Tampa Bay is one of those teams that always ends up being sneaky, and they always end up having those sort of one or two guys that you just feel like if they had more ability to influence a 26-man roster, that team could have gone a lot farther. Kind of like the A-Rods of the the early 2000s Rangers, or Mike Trouts of the Anaheim and such. Speaking of teams with bad owners, did you guys see what happened earlier today? We're going to switch leagues to a little bit. The NFL had received a grievance from the NFLPA encouraging them, or basically requesting them to stop doing the annual postcards. Not postcards. I'm sorry, report cards.
Yeah, those.
Yeah, my mistake. And I also let me correct myself. I'm sorry. The NFLPA was the ones doing the report cards.
Yeah.
So I apologize. I completely messed up that sentence. And a couple of us were talking, and we just thought, this has to be Woody Johnson.
Yeah.
This has to be Woody Johnson or Jimmy Haslam or the owner of the Cardinals, because he always seemed to lose at everything. But I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, how fucking embarrassing is it for you as an owner if you're more concerned about a damn report card that very few people take seriously, and you're more concerned about those optics and images and like perceptions than you are about actually doing something about the things that they put on those and they rated you poorly on to begin with. Because the things that are on there, for people who haven't seen them, it's things like stadium, it's things like treatment of the locker room, it's things like treatment of your family. There's a bunch of different breakdown categories. And I do read these things when they come out annually. I typically forget the results, if I don't have them right in front of me. Like it's not something that I heavily remember. I do know that one year randomly Minnesota had almost everything at the top, which was surprising to me. But all that being said, I don't think weather was one of the categories, so that kind of makes more sense. But yeah, so did you make anything of this? Like, do you think it's as ridiculous as I do, or yeah? Any general thoughts on that? Jay, I'll go to you first because I see you nodding your head.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the first time I heard you say it, I'm glad we were thinking the same thing. You know me, I have a vendetta against Woody Johnson. I thought it was Woody Johnson.
Yeah.
Like, who else would do that other than maybe Jerry Jones? It's such. How about we worry about putting a good product on the field of play? Like, why are we doing this? There's only like I always like look at somebody like sideways when they want to like diminish transparency like that.
Yep.
This is a classic case. I'm with you on that one. It doesn't make any sense. When's the last time you heard of like a free agent or fans not wanting to go to a game because there was a bad report card on the team? The only report card that matters, what the fans think of your on-field product. That's what's going to keep them coming to the games. They don't really care about the physical report card. I haven't cared about my own report card when I was in high school. I mean, clearly that's at least what my uncle said. I come from a Caribbean family; they're really tough on me. But I mean, I did care. It's just that people didn't think I cared. I was just a bad student. But yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. Scoop, I'm with you on this one. It doesn't make any sense. It's like, why exhaust the time? And if it is, by the way, Woody Johnson, you're shooting yourself in the foot because I'm actually defending the Jets' trade deadline. Again, we don't want to assume, but they built it up for the future. Now you're going to undercut yourself by doing that. Again, I hope it's not him. We don't know that it is him, but Jesus, why would any owner do this? Why?
Well, here's my thought process too, and then I'll get right down to Brandon. But here's my thoughts. With this is that you've got probably very few people were thinking about those report cards and that whole thing before this came out. So whoever it was, because obviously now there's going to be speculation as to who it was. It's probably a 50-50 shot as to if it ever emerges. But it's just bad. Like it just looks more embarrassing for the owners to do that. It looks more embarrassing for the owners to complain about a report card system, to be more concerned about that than actually addressing the beefs that the players have in the first place. Like to me that's they did not think this through, because that's just horrible optics, and it legitimizes, or at least seems to legitimize, a lot of the bitching that happens by players and fans alike against the owners in the first place. Real quick, Brent, good Lord. Kenny is jumping in. Kenny, hope you're doing well. If you're working tonight, hope that's going smoothly. Says, evening, fellas. Quick baseball question. If the Yankees were to trade for Skubal, who, if anyone besides Judge, is untouchable? Nobody. Say again? What'd you say? I'll be very honest with you. No, okay, I heard you now. I'll be very honest with you. I'm not including him on that list either, for two reasons. One, it's Detroit. They're never going to eat any of his contract, much of his contract anyway. Two, he just came off Tommy John surgery, and he's up there in age. I'm not into, and look at what we had this year. For everything you can say about our pitching, we've got Fried, we've got Rodon, we've got Schlettler, and we've got guys, help me here.
Right now, Heel
and Warren. Now, let me be 100% clear.
I'd include.
I'm in no way saying.
I'd ship Heel in a second.
Say again.
I said I'd ship Heel in a second.
He said that
I don't disagree with you, but my point being is that I'm not against. Okay, Kenny made a good point. I probably would put Schlittler on that list.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm still trying to think. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else, and there really isn't for me. You know, and even Schlittler, again, I see why people would want to keep him untouchable, but we've gotten burned in the past with guys coming up having one or two great months as a young player. And then that was, I mean, Jesus Montero did that. Jimmy Key did that. You know, there are plenty of examples. I really hope that he is what we saw at the end of last year. But to get Tarek Skubal, if moving him or not is the difference to getting Tarek Skubal, depending on what else they're asking for, that's hard for me to break a deal over. Now, that being said, the opposite argument can be made that we've only seen Tariq Skubal pitch in Detroit, not in New York. So that does concern me. But I would say, to go back to my original question, the original question, I'll put it this way. I'm willing to talk on anybody other than Judge. I'll put it that way. That's how I'll phrase it. I'm willing to talk on anybody other than Judge, depending on how the package comes together.
Yeah.
Brandon.
Yeah, I'm kind of in that same boat. I'm just wondering. You know, the one thing I'd be wary of because of like now the whole prospect hugging thing is like, you know, is telling me like, oh yeah, you know, I don't want to. Because I mean, you got to give to get, obviously, and
Yeah, absolutely.
you know, the thing that stinks is like I would hate to gut the entire farm. You know, like it's like it. Those are guys I wouldn't focus on, I guess, in a deal. Like as much as I would love to say, oh, Tariq Skubal's a Yankee or Paul Skeens is a Yankee, like that sounds great.
Oh, there's no. I'll just put it there right now. There's no way we're getting Paul Skeens this offseason. I don't in any way believe that.
I think they're one and the same. I think Skeens and Skubal are. I mean, like I think to me, like I don't see either of them coming to New York. But
okay, I wasn't quite sure I wasn't quite sure by what you meant one and the same because Pittsburgh Paul Skeens' price is going to be 3 exponents above what Skubal's would be because they got much more team control over him.
Yeah, that's basically to me the difference. But I think that when it comes,
are we sure Pittsburgh's not stupid?
I mean,
I'm not saying that they're not stupid. I'm just saying that I think that they know, and in the past, let's look at guys. If you look at guys like Brian Reynolds, if anything, the last few years, they've kind of done more Rockies type where they've, if anything, held on to guys longer than they should, rather than moved off them at the highest price. So I think that they should trade Paul Skeens, but I don't think that they will. And I think that they might eventually when it gets like more arbitration time. But I think that, and maybe I'm being too cockeyed optimist here. I don't think that I don't think it's a non-zero chance that Paul Skeens takes less money to sign an Atlanta Braves type deal to stay in Pittsburgh. I don't.
Yeah, I'm really trying to think about it here because it's like Pittsburgh has to know that there's almost nothing because the guy is still young, still super young,
right.
And he's already this good that it's like no matter what you get in return for him, I don't think it'd be worth it.
No.
So it's like I don't think Pittsburgh is a dumb organization, but they have to understand that he's pretty much the reason people come to your ballpark. He is what everybody wants to see. He is your Aaron Judge. He's your Shohei Ohtani. Like he's the man there. So it's like I get, I understand like, a lot of us, wanting a guy like a Skeens or like a Skubal or one of those, caliber pitchers. But when I think about it and I look at the Yankees, I'm like, well, I'm not like that's a pipe dream. Like if we could get them somehow, some way, one of them, yeah, sure, okay. Then we can see what the deals might look like. I am focused on the help me out with the Japanese pitcher's name.
That doesn't narrow it down.
Imai.
He's the one I'm focused on. He's the one that I'm like kind of circling here because I just I don't, I'm usually the guy that's like, oh, whatever it takes to get a player, get them, but when you're talking about a Scuba or a Skeens and you have to give up, you have to basically gut almost your entire team to do so. Then it's like, is it really worth it at the end of the day for really either side? It's like you're kind of just blowing things up for the sake of blowing them up, just like a blockbuster. So
that's the thing is you can look at either one of those and think that they're going to change your and there's a very good chance they should. But at that point, if you know that they could change your franchise, let's say Detroit decides they're willing to trade Scuba. If they get 6 prospects back from us, the best they can hope for is that at least one of them becomes Tarek Skubal.
Yeah.
So if you've already got Tarek Skubal, why the hell would you trade 5 or 6 guys that you're just hoping at least one of them can become remotely close to the guy that you just traded? Like, to me, that's what doesn't make sense about trading for prospects. That's what does not make sense. The only way that I'm trading Skubal, the only way I'm even having a conversation about trading Skubal is I want like legitimate major league talent. I want
you give them Clint Frazier, Miguel Andujar, a bag of Lay's potato chips, baseballologist, and Greg. I think we can package and get Tarek Skubal.
Oh, jeez.
Sorry. I think I had an absent seizure listening to that. But Kenny says, remember Skeen's girlfriend lives in New York City. I could not believe that would matter less than I do.
No, it matters. So if we trade Livy Dunn,
we're gonna send her to Pittsburgh
and Miguel Andujar.
Well, no, because I do want to bring this up.
And Domingo Herman.
Because I've seen people do this, or not people do this, but I've seen people talk about this a few times. People brought it up a few years ago with Patrick Corbin, who later ended up signing one of the worst deals ever with the Washington Nationals. People did that with Freddie Freeman, even though it became pretty clear. I don't think, quite honestly, if his agents don't screw him over, I think he's still a Brave right now.
Yeah.
And we saw it happen with
and isn't tormenting us in the World Series. Yes.
Yeah, and then Bryce Harper might be the one you can at least argue maybe maybe that could have been a factor because there's reports, and I don't know how true this is, but there's reports that maybe we didn't pursue him as hard as some people thought we would. Again, that's 7 years ago. We have to leave that in the past for better or worse. But my point in bringing this up is just that I think that when we hear those things, especially in this day and age, I think when we hear those things about, oh, he grew up rooting for this team, or oh, he wanted to play for this team, or one thing or another. I just, and maybe it still matters to some people somewhere, but I mean, Paul Skeens, for you want to talk about things that are non-financial that matter to people, Paul Skeens himself just came out and made about as emphatic of a statement buying into his time in Pittsburgh as you can imagine over the last, it was either yesterday or the day before. And again, sometimes players do that because they want to just show commitment to the team that they know that they're under contract with. But I don't know, sometimes there are certain things that you can tell an agent or a representative helped write this. That really sounded from the heart to me. And that's just my
I was thinking about that, and I'm glad you brought it up because I'm like, because I was watching last night. I think I told you guys. Well, I put it in one of our chats. I said I was watching the Alex versus A-Rod documentary.
I still have to watch that. I'm still behind on. I gotta watch that.
I mean, it's only the first episode, so it's not like you're
okay.
Anything. But the one thing that was talked about heavily was the what went down between Seattle and Texas, and Seattle was already pretty much they were already a pretty firm contender in the AL by that point. Yeah. And basically they said to A-Rod, do you want to choose the money or do you want to stay here and win, whatever it is. But essentially, like with Skeens, I really believe it's just more of a commitment to the team you're under contract with for the moment, because I mean, you don't want to set a bad, you don't want,
AL's been called.
you don't. Yeah, that's what we're looking at right now. I'm happy Dom Mattingly's here for this. Yes, Captain. Let's go. The right man won. Thank you.
Il Giudice.
Just to clarify for those who are watching, Aaron Judge was just announced as the MVP.
Yep.
He is
and should be 4, man. Should be. Wow, it was close though. Whoa.
Hang on. My screen's a little behind. Hang on.
Whoa, it was close.
Oh wow.
It was close.
How close? I ain't got the screen on.
Judge got 17 first place.
17 first place votes. Raleigh got 13.
It was really close, though.
Wow.
If we weren't living in the times we're living in, it might be time to revisit the First Amendment.
And the third place votes were split between Ramirez, Witt, and Scooble.
Wow.
We got some MVP votes. That's not bad. I'm very pro pitcher, so I don't hate that.
Yeah, but what was I gonna say? But with the Skeens thing, I think just when you're in Pittsburgh, like it's almost like when Myles Garrett signed back with the Browns just because they threw a bag at him. I think like when it comes to, I mean, this would be a trade thing though, because obviously Skeens is still the contract. But I think with Skeens, I mean, if you have a chance to go somewhere where where they can win, or there's a possibility of winning, like Pittsburgh's the dumps. It is like. It's like I know that he's a good guy, wants to be loyal. That's why I'm thinking that's like there's no way his teammate would just come out and say that if there wasn't some truth to it. So like,
but are you referencing the report from the NJ.com?
Yeah.
Okay, let me just be 100% honest with you. Respect to Randy Miller, he has made a lot of reports in the past that are based on anonymous sources and that are not well substantiated, or that later come out and get refuted, including by people who are connected to that organization. And so I don't want to disrespect anybody on here, but I also at the same time, just the fact of the matter is I've seen that happen way too many times.
Yeah, I don't. I think these days I don't trust any sports journalists anymore. There's very few that I trust.
That's entirely fair. Ed Murphy says, "Great, congrats to Judge on the third, should be fourth MVP." Yeah, I think a lot of us agree with you. But yeah, I mean, that puts both of these guys in pretty rare territory. The amount of guys that have 3 or more MVPs in baseball is a very short list.
Yep.
As it should be.
Thanks, Ed. I agree with you. By the way, I loved you and Dr. Doolittle.
Oh no! I had a feeling it was coming.
I didn't. That came out of nowhere for me. But I also haven't seen Dr. Doolittle, so.
Jesus.
What's wrong?
No, I can't. I knew something like that was coming. I just didn't know it was going to be exactly that. That's why I'm just like, oh.
How do any of you anticipate what I'm going to say ever?
I mean,
that one I kind of thought.
I've known you for 3 to 4 years. I would think that I at least have something possibly.
That's good, man. Sometimes I even surprise myself.
Yeah.
My coworkers keep saying, it's like, Jay just be saying whatever he wants.
Yeah, pretty much. So we, excuse me, sorry. And then let's see, coming off of that, did we want to talk about the NBC football? I'm sorry, soccer developments that came out today, or are we gonna not go with that one?
What happened in soccer?
Okay.
Because I actually don't know what happened.
Okay.
I'm trying to follow soccer a lot more, so bring me up to date on that.
Yeah, so basically NBC Sports Network is being revived by NBC Universal next Monday. It says NBC Universal today announced the new NBC Sports Network, a 24/7 linear network featuring a wide range of marquee sporting events and programming from NBC Sports. NBCSN will be available exclusively through participating pay TV distributors, launching first for all YouTube TV subscribers and soon on Xfinity, with other distributors to be announced at a later date. And it says advanced and programming on the new NBC Sports Network include Monday night NBA games and NBA playoffs, Premier League soccer matches. That's what I was mentioning. WNBA regular season and playoff games, expected to include dozens of MLB regular season and select postseason games to be in a soon-to-be announced agreement. Gold Zone, hosted by Scott Hansen, daily whip-around coverage for Milan Cortina Olympic Winter Games in February 2026. Big Ten and Notre Dame football, Big Ten, Big East, shout out to Big East, and Big 12 men's and women's basketball, golf majors, cycling, Kentucky Derby, Kentucky Oaks undercard races, Olympic sports, and popular shows such as PFT Live, the Dan Patrick Show, the Dan Le Batard Show, the Fantasy Football Happy Hour with Matthew Berry. So there's that. At first, when I read it, I didn't see that's a more comprehensive list than I read, because at first when I read it, I didn't think that there was going to be that much that I would actually be tuning in. But because I only the main thing I saw was the Premier League. But man, Premier League, Big East basketball, some MLB and WNBA regular and postseason game. Okay, that might be something that I actually want to look into. But so, any thoughts on that, or do we want to keep moving down to the other stuff we've got going on?
Your description of that hurt my brain because it was so. I know that was the official statement, but it was so long-winded. I was like, "Oh God!"
To be fair, it hurt my lips to get through all of that.
Yeah, I was trying to keep it together in my head, and I'm like, you've lost me halfway through it. I'm like, "Oh God."
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah. I mentioned earlier and I know we all follow basketball, so I mentioned earlier, and I know I'm speaking as a little bit of a home run this one because I'm probably the one by far most interested in this, but it does appear that there's a hot seat check for Coach Wllie Green in New Orleans as outsiders. I'm willing to bet that there's not a ton of Pelican basketball on your TVs this season. But as outsiders, is there anything that y'all have seen from the start to this season, from the Zion situation? And are there any coaches you can think of who might be worth trying to take over this dumpster fire? I know I'm throwing things at you, ad lib style, but
I'm trying to think because, I mean, listen, you guys are in no better of a situation than we are in Brooklyn. So,
I think not Miles? Is it Miles Malone or Mike Malone?
For what? For the former coach at Denver?
Yes.
Yeah, Mike Malone.
Is he still available? Because that might be somebody to look at.
I mean, he's not retired yet. So
I do think that Patrick Borrego is still going to get the first crack as the assistant coaching position, because people remember the Knicks and at least one other team wanted to interview him this past offseason, and we denied the opportunity to do so. And there's also been apparently there was a discrepancy between the Joe Dumars hire, the Troy Weaver, the owner Gail Benson. There was apparently some discrepancies as to what was wanted in the organization. I think Joe Dumars apparently is pushing to get a whole rebuild going and a whole sort of cleaning house going, which quite honestly might not be the worst idea. I heard that Troy Weaver the other day was basically walking around the offices in like loungewear and like basically dressing like Senator Fetterman out there. And I was just like, I don't know. I didn't like the sound of that at all. But again, I know Brandon and I are kind of traditionalists. We kind of are the George Steinbrennerian mentality of, you do as much business in a suit and tie as possible.
Yeah.
I actually wanted the coaches to go back to suits and tie, man. I think that trick was
Yeah, so do I. It looks right.
Yeah, it does. I mean, shucks. I mean, y'all know I was the manager for 3 years, I think, of a varsity team in high school for not the school that I went to, but another one. Shout out to, by the way, one of our foreign players, Isaiah Stewart, who's killing it in Detroit to start this season and is advancing his role up there very well alongside Jaden Ivey and company. Yeah, I mean, and that's how we were. Our coaches, myself. We were every game. Suit and tie. Coiffed, all of that. And I don't know. It just kind of looks odd now to have that happening in the lower leagues and not have it happening in the pros.
Yeah, it's when you get to a higher rank in society and a higher level, you have to present yourself a certain way. So it's like when you get to that kind of level, it's like, NFL coaches used to wear suits, so it was like, pretty much
it is funny to talk about this though, and know that like one of the greatest NFL coaches of all time is notorious for wearing hoodies on the sideline.
Well, yeah, get cut off hoodies, all these different things, yeah.
But I guess how does that old saying go? Work to the level where you've worked out of the suit, or something like that. Where basically, work is to the level where you can basically choose what you want to. I don't remember how it goes, but you know what I'm referencing. Any other thoughts on that, or should we get into some football?
No, but really though, Mike Malone to me is like the number one guy. Like he should. There was no reason Denver got rid of him in the first place.
I was very confused by that. I know a couple of Nuggets fans tried to explain it to me, and quite honestly, I still didn't really understand it. If any of them are watching, you're welcome to tell me and try and remind me what it was. But I don't know. I'm not the biggest. I mean, you know this, Brandon. I'm not the huge X's and O tactician guy in football or basketball. So if it was something like that, that might not be why I'm not seeing it. Like if you asked me to draw up a pick and roll X's and O's, there's no way I could do it. But just aside from that, I was really struggling to see. And also, here's what's driving me crazy. Here's what's driving me freaking crazy. To start this season, and Coach Green seems like a good guy. He seems like a good locker room guy. Why the hell were they not playing Derek Queen until last night? And then Derek Queen comes out and goes off. You traded a damn future first for this guy and got wrecked in the media for it. Don't you think a great way to try and prove to people that you made the right deal would be to put the guy on the damn court? Hell?
But you know what's funny is it's no different when it comes to when I'm watching Brooklyn and I'm watching like the rookies not get time. It's like you drafted so many rookies this year, and only 2 of them now are getting playing time. There's 3 of them, I think, stuck in the G League, which, I mean, they're getting playing time down there, which is okay. But, I would rather have the rookies play this entire season now knowing you're not going to win anything rather than, rather than it be a mishmash of, like, old veterans and some rookies. That's not going to gel anyway. That team's not going to work. So, like, it doesn't, to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense. So what your team is doing, what my team is doing, what all of our teams are doing. So it's like it really doesn't. Basketball is the one sport where I'm just like, why is it just feel basketball for some reason these days to me feels so counterintuitive. Everything that's done is so ass backwards. It doesn't make sense to me.
I don't disagree with you on that. And okay, here's a fun question to kind of jump between sports because we know I can't stay on one topic to save my life. Agree or disagree? The Yankees would be better off right now if they had done what you just described and taken one season to just develop rookies and young players and acknowledged we're not going to contend this season. I'll start with you, Brandon, because you were talking about it.
Yeah, I think so. You know why? Because when you look at all the teams that are winning recently in the last 10 years or so, they've pretty much all did the same thing.
Yeah.
So to me, that's I think I would say I think that they should have taken. I mean, listen, that's not the Yankees thing to take a year off, so to speak. But the thing is, when you've got guys like they're not going to do it next year either, or whatever. So it's
I don't think they ever will.
But to me, it probably should have been. You know what that year should have been to me? That year probably should have been
2023.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, I'm like, what year was it going to be? Like, because if you're saying
2023,
I'd say yes.
I mean, because let's be honest, and maybe we sound like spoiled Yankees fans, as much as I hate that phrase. And I was about to throw an adjective in there, but I think my grandmother's watching. As much as I hate that phrase, here's the thing. As Yankees fans, let's be honest. There is no difference between us. There's no difference to us between 82 wins and 70 wins. There's not.
Yeah.
There's no difference. If you're not going to win at upper 80s, low 90s, and contend for a playoff spot, it feels the same way to us whether you lose 70 wins or 82 wins.
Yeah.
So I would have just. I'm not. And now I'll put it this way. I'm not saying tank. I hate tanking. I don't agree with tanking.
Me neither.
But put the onus of the priority rather off of expecting to win the World Series and onto developing your players and cutting their teeth in the majors. That's how I would have looked at it, and then win as many games as you can doing that. But reprioritizing is how I would have called it, not tanking, because tanking to me just irritates me.
Well, you look at 2023, right? Like you're starting, like there was no reason to be starting guys like Wllie Calhoun. Come on now, I
locked that. I locked that out of my freaking brain.
You're welcome.
I did not remember that we did that.
But it's like you had guys like that in the starting lineup every day, playing a lot of games, and it was like, where are the young guys in the system that should have been playing these games?
Where the hell was I in 2023? I don't remember. I mean, I barely remember it, but I remember it like you remember something that happened at like 2 a.m. while you were out at college. That's all I'm going to say on this show.
And you know what it was? Like the second Judge got hurt, that's when I would have just said screw it and put every single young guy in there.
See, here's the thing. I was damn near on the mindset of doing that this year when Judge got hurt. But the thing is, we had just built up such a freaking lead at that point that hadn't entirely collapsed.
Yeah.
That to me, it's like, if we had been at 500 when that happened, that's what I would have done.
Yeah.
Or if his injury had been worse, that's what I would have looked at. And actually, from what I heard, they did look into doing that. Before they knew that his injury wasn't that bad, they did look into doing that this year. They did make calls on certain guys. I don't remember who they were. But yeah, I look back at that, or even maybe 2020, you could make the argument just because of how freaking weird of a season that was. But I also think at the same time, you probably, I don't think there was ever going to be a great way to use that season. So people might argue that it would be even worse to try and use that season for a develop your young players type season. Eddie Murphy says 82 wins can now get you into the wild card games in some season. Well, I mean, that's just a whole argument about the third wild card team, which I've been going on a rail about. I've gone on a rail about that.
Yeah,
because this season that would have put one of the Marlins, Reds, one of the Marlins or the Mets in the postseason, and you can't convince me, no matter how hard you try, that either of them deserve to be in the freaking playoffs.
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy says 2017 they basically did that and made it to Game 7 in the ALCS. Yeah, kind of. I mean, most of those trades happened in 2016, but I do agree with you. In fact, even in 2016, they were far more competitive late in the season than people expected them to be after moving off of. Let me see if I remember them all: Chapman, Miller, Beltran, and Nova. I am Doc is jumping in on Kick and saying a bunch of emoji, but good to see you. If you're a real person, good to see you. If you're a bot, well, beep beep boop boop. But coming off of that, any more baseball, or do we want to get into some football a little bit?
Let's get into some football.
Let's do that NFL.
So the biggest headline that came out today is probably the fact that Brock Purdy will be back for the 49ers this weekend rather, moving Mac Jones, who had played surprisingly well for a period of time, back to the bench. How much of an impact is this for San Francisco in the NFC race? I won't say wild card or division, but the NFC race in general. And do they now become a more serious playoff threat in your mind? What do you make of this for them? I'm trying to leave these questions somewhat open because I want to hear your organic thoughts. Brandon, I'll start with you.
I really don't think now. While I do think Brock Purdy is obviously a better quarterback than Mac Jones, I don't think it changes anything. The Niners are winning games without Brock Purdy. I don't think that it really, this isn't like an MVP caliber quarterback. Again, his backup is like way worse. The Niners are known for fixing their quarterbacks. Like when they get quarterbacks that come through their system
and breaking everybody else.
Yeah. So, I don't think it changes a whole lot. I still think they're the third best team in that division. And that's obvious because that's by default, because the Cardinals are crap and the Rams and Seahawks are I think are way better than they are. So, even though the Rams lost to them, but the Rams basically beat themselves in that game. And then when they played again, obviously this past week, and the Rams destroyed them. So, look, and then when you kind of look at their schedule, I mean, they were going to win a lot of these games without Brock Purdy. Like Panthers win. Browns should win, even though Browns have a good defense. Titans win. Colts would be the one game where I think either way they lose. Bears should be a win, and then you play the Seahawks in the season. So really, like most of their games down the stretch should be wins, regardless of who the quarterback is. So I don't think it really matters. They still have far too many injuries for me to even take them seriously as a contender. And I just think that matters too much. And like I said, when you're the third best team in your division, now with the seventh wild card, you can make it in. But I still think the Rams and Seahawks are way better than them. And that's probably the biggest reason why I don't think it really matters.
All right. Ed says, can the Niners fix Russ? If he goes to San Francisco, he better have the best life insurance policy his old contracts can buy.
Well, here's the thing. To be fair,
I can see that career lasting shorter than Aaron Rodgers' first season in New York.
Here's the thing. It's different. If Russ were, thank you.
Yeah, that.
If Russ were to go there, it's different. Well, because he's washed. Like Mac Jones was still young. Sam Darnold's still young. These guys were young. Russ is like a whole 10 years older than them. So I don't think it's
way past his good years.
Also a good point.
So I don't think Russ is nowhere near the type of explosive player he was in Seattle at this point. So it's not. So to me, it's a little bit. It's different. But I mean, listen, the Niners could fix one of us if we went through their system. But it's like that, But at this point, an old Russell Wilson, I mean, I know it's a joke, but still, realistically, they probably couldn't.
Yeah, that's a question, not so much of a question of could rather than should. And the answer is no on both, honestly. It's not worth the investment anymore. Russ, go home, please. they're literally or Jameis Winston over him.
Well, that was going to be the next thing that I mentioned is Jameis Winston with the Giants. I'm literally just going to say that and let y'all run with it. What are we looking at this weekend and going forward with him? Brandon, excuse me, sorry. Do you think this is going to happen the rest of the way, or?
To me, it probably should. I was never a fan of Jackson Dart starting in any capacity this year. Just because you knew the Giants were going to probably end up firing Dable, which they did.
Yeah, that'll be the next thing we get to.
You knew that the team wasn't gonna contend in the NFC East, let alone the NFC or in the NFL. They have pieces to like, but they're guys that are but a lot of their good, probably their best defensive player right now is getting older, and I'm surprised that he kind of wasn't traded at the deadline. And Dexter Lawrence, I really think that I mean, listen, this could be fun watching Jameis because Jameis is always a good time. But for better or for worse, Jameis is quite literally probably the most fun quarterback to watch in the NFL, just because you don't know if you're getting 400 yards and 5 touchdowns or you're getting 300, 2 touchdowns and 4 picks. You just don't know what the hell you're getting out of him. But I think that honestly, at this point, because now this is Dart's 3rd concussion that we pretty much know about, and they said that it could be his 4th on the year. You gotta save him from himself. We don't want another Tua situation.
Absolutely not.
So especially when you have invested, once again, another kind of first round pick, another guy that the Giants are. This is their future franchise. This is the franchise right here. So, you already lost Cam Scatterbo to a gruesome injury. You don't want to have Jackson Dart just get hurt every week now, because you know that he's playing a little bit reckless this year. So to me, at this point, this should be Jameis from here on out. You have nothing to play for. The only thing you're playing for is a draft pick. And honestly, at this point, I said it back when in that controversial game when the Giants fans were like, "Oh, the refs were screwing us against the Eagles." I'm like, why do you care? You should want to lose this game. When the Eagles were like 4-11 in 20, was it 4-11-1 in 2020? I wanted them to lose all the games that they possibly could. I didn't care if it was the Giants that they were playing. I wanted them to lose because I knew the team wasn't good and I wanted a better draft pick. So like Giants fans saying, "Oh, we want to beat the Eagles." Why? It doesn't matter for you. So
that's their Super Bowl, remember?
Yeah, I know, but it's like once again, in the New York area, sick in the head, where it's I don't care. As an Eagles fan, I didn't care when we tanked in 2020. I don't care. So Giants fans shouldn't either. At this point, Jameis could be fun to watch. So it's I definitely think that see that's the thing too. It's like a lot of close games and we don't realize it, but at the same time, bad teams that's another thing too. Is Ed's bringing up here saying, he says we're 0-4 when we led by 10 plus points. Do you see Bowen getting fired during the season or no? Because number one on the staff is no one on the staff is worthy to coach the defense.
I honestly thought that Bowen was going to be out the door with Dable.
Honestly, it should have been the 3 of them. It should have been Dable, Bowen, and Joe Schoen. It should have been all 3.
Oh, I was going to say, when you said all 3, I thought you were going to include Kafka with that, but
no, no. But see,
I think they're all doing a crackerjack job.
I'm
being sarcastic when I use some white ass expression like crackerjack job.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I've never, I can guarantee, or not guarantee, I can glean what that expression meant, but I've also never heard it in my life.
Well, oh my God, I've heard that so many times. But I see the whole 0-4 when you lead by 10 or more points thing. It's yeah, but bad teams also blow leads like that whenever they do get a lead in games. So it's it kind of goes both ways. Yeah, should you have won those games? Probably, but you're a bad football team, so you're not going to win those games. Especially the one you lost against Denver. That's a sign of a bad football team. You literally did everything wrong in that 4th quarter from start to finish. So, it's not white enough to understand, Scoop. Oh,
you're not white enough to.
That doesn't mean you can say the word, Scoop. Just say.
See, the one thing I will say is I kind of disagree that there's nothing worth tanking for, because
I thought you were going to say you disagreed with Ed.
No, not with that. But the other thing that he said that there's nothing worth tanking for, and this is why I disagree, because every single championship team. Now listen, you want to have a flashy wide receiver, you want to have a flashy quarterback, you want that sexy pick, but at the same time, where championship teams are built, and we've said this for months on end at this point, it's becoming regurgitated, but it's built in the trenches. So, when you have you want a high first round pick because hey, there could be that future offensive lineman and God knows the Giants need it. There could be that future offensive lineman that is a game changer for your line. There could be that. Hell, it could be another. I mean, you've got the defensive line pretty much for the most part, so I wouldn't worry about that. But you need the offensive line. You definitely need a secondary because there's no secondary in New York. Well, New Jersey, excuse me, God. But it's like there's so many holes that I think that like when you're a team like the Giants and you have that many issues, honestly, it's like at that point, I would think, I just don't think that it's really worth it to kind of not to not tank. That's a phrase, but like when you're so bad, I mean, at some point you got to just say, hey, we're gonna go for as high a draft pick as possible, just so we can get even the best player available, even if it's something that might not seem like it's worth tanking for. You know, well, I agree. Ed. I did say that I'd want a sexy pick, but that's most teams. Most teams would want a sexy pick, but I'm saying that what Philadelphia did, what a lot of teams are doing, pretty much is where it starts from is the trenches. You have to build a championship team from the trenches, because you can't just sit there and draft. You have Jackson Dart, you got your franchise quarterback, you've got Cam Scatterbo, you got your franchise running back, you've got Malik Neighbors. You're not going to draft a wide receiver 2 to play next to him. I think that's kind of dumb. I'd rather you trade for one, or find one, or sign one in the offseason at least until you can trade for one. I mean, your defensive line to me is fine. You might be saying goodbye to Kayvon Thibodeau, but I think he's replaceable. I think his output is not worth what he was projected to do out of college. So I think you're okay. I mean, I really just think that it's the secondary. You need somebody in the secondary. You need multiple guys in the secondary, I should say. That was why a couple of years ago I hated the Xavier McKinney thing when he goes and signs with the Packers, because McKinney, to me, the way that went down, I think was weird. But I mean, there's no, like, there probably isn't a quote unquote sexy pick I can think of right now for the Giants in this draft, I haven't even looked at it yet. We're still only halfway through this season, or a little more than halfway. But what I do know is that if I'm the Giants in this draft, if you keep losing games, obviously, depending on what happens with Jameis, then you got to start with the offense. It has to start with the offensive line. Your first pick to me should be an offensive line. It just, you can't keep going this way where you don't have a line, because it's not going to work. You're not going to, you've got Cam Scatterbo, who's basically a battering ram, so like the line doesn't really matter. but
that's what I call him, batter. I call him battering ram Cam.
But yeah, exactly. But for Jackson Dart's sake, you got to build a line around him. You don't want another Joe Burrow. You don't want another Tua. Like, where it's like, now that they're not comparable, but I'm saying, like, Burrow with the injuries because of his offensive line, and Tua takes a lot of hits like Jackson Dart has. I think that you've got to start kind of, and I agree with that. I agree with Ed saying, the past 2 drafts haven't been bad. Yeah, I don't think so either. I said that before. The past 2 drafts really haven't been bad, but you haven't really drafted offensive linemen. That's the problem. It's because you're drafting everything else but the O-line. So, it doesn't matter if you have Malik Neighbors, Dart, and Scatterbo. I mean, you have them now, but to protect them going forward, because they've all suffered major injuries now, you need the offensive line. So, to me, that's got to be your first-round pick. You need, no matter where it is. And like I said, that's why you want it as high as possible, so you can take your pick of guys, whatever you need. Now, obviously, once you get from from like the teens down into 1 through 10, you're gonna take BPA, pretty much. But I think that for the Giants, I don't think it should be BPA at this point because you've already got stuff to build on. I think regardless of where the Giants draft, it has to be what you need. And what they've needed for the better part of pretty much, a decade is an offensive line. So you need linemen, and I think that's got to be the first pick.
All right. Let's see. Anything else from him? Said, I want Joe gone. Give that assistant GM we got from the Eagles a chance.
Who's the assistant GM?
I'm trying to remember.
And why are we taking? Why did they get him from the Eagles?
I'm guessing. Excuse me. Sorry. I think he's talking. The guy's name's escaping me right now.
Oh, okay. So then Howie doesn't need him. Good.
Brandon Brown. That's who it was.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't even hear about that. Yeah.
Well, this was like 4 years ago.
Oh yeah, I hadn't. I still even then I don't remember that.
I think the key solution to help the Giants is first of all, let Jeff and Fred Wilpon buy the team, and then also hire Adam Gase as the head coach. Yeah, I think that is like a roadmap to success for the Eagles, though.
I lost track of where my brain was going.
It was a long-winded Giants discussion, but what other football stuff did we have?
Yeah, no. Well, because I was about to get into the Brian Daboll firing, and it was basically the question was going to be, he's already on the Giants. The black dude.
I mean, I didn't even know.
Brandon Brown. Yeah, so that was going to be my question. I'll go to Jay for this one. Is are you surprised that they moved off Daboll this as opposed to now as opposed to at the end of the season? And I guess another question I'll ask is, I know, not being an Eagles fan notwithstanding, do you think that moving off of him is going to be a risk for Jackson Dart's development, or because that's a problem we've seen quite a bit over the last few years is these guys get these young quarterbacks. I mean, Brandon, I think you're the one who sent it. There was that post of how many guys had been first round draft picks and then lost their head coach either or offensive coordinator within a year or two. Is that something that that would concern you if you were looking at Jackson Dart, or do you think it was that much of time to move on from Daboll that you think it's not going to matter?
I think it was time. I mean, because because Daboll is supposed to be, the whole quarterback kind of whisperer kind of guy. Because this is a guy that pretty much for lack of a better term, he kind of helped develop Josh Allen to what he is. But I also think that part of me thinks that Daboll was there a little too long, but part of me also just believes that at this point, I can't get it out of my head that I just feel he was at least in some way scapegoated because this team has bigger issues than him. And I also don't get, like I was saying before, I don't get firing him and not firing Bowen and Shane with him. That doesn't make any sense.
I agree with you.
But because a lot of these games also could have been won if Bowen just had any idea of how to play anything other than prevent defense in the final minute of a football game. Jackson Dart played well under him for what we got out of him. I think that Daniel Jones, was pretty much. Daniel Jones just had nothing to work with. Period. Neither of those two guys did. I mean, it was basically the three guys there that were just left scratching their heads was Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, and Brian Daboll, and then there was nothing else there. I mean, it wasn't even close to some of the players they have now on this roster. But I really think that was it time? I think so. But at the same time, this is going to be now a tricky transition now because now we have something where And we said this in the offseason. Now you go from Jackson Dart having 1 year under Dable and kind of learning what this offense was supposed to be this year. Then going into next year, he's going to have to learn something completely different. So it's a little bit jarring. I mean, not too many quarterbacks go through that. The only two that go through that every year are Baker Mayfield and Jalen Hurts. And so that's basically what you're hoping Jackson Dart becomes, is like those two. Or better, obviously. So it's tough. I really think that Dable kind of had a little bit of a scapegoat syndrome, I guess. But like, I definitely think that I'm kind of torn, but I do think it was time. I mean, at some point, you've got to hold a coach accountable. It's almost the same thing like what we're saying, like with Aaron doing it with the Yankees. Is it time if nothing happens next year? Then yeah, we know it can't go on with this. But at the same time, would it be his fault? Would it be his fault entirely? No, it'd be Brian Cashman too, and the rest of the front office that's been there since 1985. So,
thank you for bringing that up, because that's another topic I'm going to get into in a minute, but I want to let you finish.
Yeah, but so it's like, that's why I'm kind of torn. Like, New York sports has this, it's weird. Like, they can't, like, it just seems like New York sports in general just can't seem to keep the guys that they should, or they can't give their hires much of a chance because their front office is inept. It's like, it really is kind of a tough watch to see how this develops in this part of the country that used to be a sports powerhouse and now is the almost exact opposite.
Yeah, no, the West is royally lapping us in that regard.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I think Dable has there's a little bit of scapegoat stuff there. I also feel bad for Jackson Dart having to now deal with his concussions and having to learning one offense. Then now he's going to come back to this in the offseason and have to learn a whole new thing for next year. So both guys are kind of in bad spots. Dable should get another job somewhere, whether it's a head coaching job or an OC job. But I still think it was a little bit of a scapegoat thing. But I think it was time also. So I'm kind of 50-50 on it. I'm not, I want to know more as it unfolds, like by the end of the season when the dust settles, kind of what went down. But I think for now, it's just they're in a real kind of gray area where I don't think either side's really they really don't know what to do right now. It's kind of just a wait and see approach with how the rest of the season goes first.
Yeah, and I think it was murked. That's even a word. I think the waters were muddied further by his myriad concussions now, because I think they probably would have hoped that they had a better view of him the rest of the season, and now it's looking a little bit unclear as to what they'll get from him and how much they'll get from him. I'm glad you brought up the guys in the Yankees, because I'll go there and then we'll probably look to wrap this up. But the Yankees fired. This is probably a name that's not going to be known to a ton of people. Maybe it might be a little bit of an understated name, but the Yankees fired. Murk is a hood term. What is with this tonight?
Yeah, I was going to tell you, Merc is a hood term, but it's not what you think it means, probably.
Okay, well then I'm not going to bother.
Killed.
Sorry?
They're dead.
Oh, whoops. Anyway, yeah, it never would have gotten that in a million years. But anyway, the Yankees fired Donnie Roland, a longtime higher-end scout amateur players. This was apparently came out a couple of days ago. He was the international scouting director. This was apparently a decision made in the wake of a whole bunch of international amateur signings and acquisitions that have been made over the past decade or so that have either not panned out or not panned out to the extent that people hoped. Again, we can have that debate as to how much of that is on the guys that they bring in and how much is on what they do with those guys afterward, because keep in mind, most of those guys are coming in at the age of 15, 16, 17. So there's definitely some debate to be had as to how much is, kind of another one of those things about, how much of it goes on whose shoulders and whatnot. But, I think all three of us, we have been talking about how we wanted to see some changes this offseason. We kind of knew whether we agree with it or not. We kind of knew that it wasn't going to be the big names like Cashman and Boone, but we did see a couple of guys on the coaching staff. We saw Travis Chapman was out. We saw Mike Harkey out. There was some reports that James Rosen could be out, but he apparently will be staying. And this is another one, Donnie Roland. And this is a name that, I had talked a little bit about a couple weeks ago, where I said that I think some of the decisions that have to be made, I don't know that going to the highest level is where you start. I think sometimes some of those guys who are in more niche positions need to be looked at and need to get some of the scrutiny as well. And that appears to be what happened here. I won't ask you if you're surprised by this, but does this move the needle for you at all, Brandon? Do you think this is going to have, I know largely it's going to depend on who we bring in, but where do you think they go from here with regard to international amateur scouting?
It's another thing where I'm just like, I don't know how much it really moves the needle. I mean, because a lot of teams, like the Yankees, it's kind of just like they have a set in their way, way of doing things, kind of regardless of the personnel that they might have in the front office and whatnot. Or the culture, so to speak, that kind of permeates throughout a franchise. I don't think it'll change a whole lot. I mean, is it a move that's necessary? Yeah. I mean, change was coming eventually, but were the moves that the Yankees made necessary? Yeah, I think so. I mean, we all kind of think so. So I guess the short answer is just I don't think that much will change, but there might be a fresh set of ideas, kind of a new eyeballs to look at things. It just you need to kind of grease the wheels every now and then when they kind of start to stop. Start to stop when they stop, because you know what I mean. That start.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Burning. So, I really think that kind of like with the Dable situation with New York, like it's time. But I definitely think that it can go one of two ways. I really can't get worse. I don't think, and I mean, to me, it has a chance, it has some room to get better. But I don't think it moves the needle, so to speak. Like that, like moving the needle to me would be something like like a real major move, where there's a huge impact of the franchise going forward for the next I mean, these moves do impact the franchise, but I'm saying immediately for the next 5-10 years or something like that. So I don't think it moves the needle for me, but it's definitely stuff that has to get done, and I think that it's a step in the right direction. So I'm okay with what went down, what's been going down. So
all right. Appreciate that. And here's a sentence that's not said all that often, but Jay, you've been quiet for a little bit. Give me your thoughts on this.
Yeah, please give me my throat a chance to rest, please.
Yeah, man, you're going hoarse. No,
Yeah.
you know what? It was a long time for. Are we still on Dable, or are we still? Because I
give me both. Give me as Shannon Sharp says, BOAF both.
Yeah. On the scouting, yeah, you're right. I didn't know much about the fired. I do think that we need to kind of reform the way we choose players and the way we train players in the Yankee system.
Yeah.
That's long been my position. I think it starts from the ground on up. Again, from the reports that not only came out this season, but the previous seasons, where everybody's being told that they need to hit like Aaron Judge. Again, hint, hint, he's a generational talent for a reason. He comes along very rarely in a generation on a single team. So there is that. On Dable, it was for sure time to move on. I don't know that I was surprised that they moved on from him during the season, only because I don't think if you let him coach and ride out the season, or if you did it now like they did, it would matter either way. I don't know. I know it matters if you're like on the brink of improving the team. I don't know if it matters if the goal should be tanking the team. So, worst case scenario, he would have only made it. I don't know. I don't know if there's like a middle ground saying like you were too mid to coach our tank. But yeah, it was high time. I think also both Jackson and Cam are going to be fine. I think the organization and Jackson Dart saw this coming after the first few weeks. And I think mentally Jackson Dart is going to adapt because he knows he's a quarterback. He knows he's not going to have the same coach. If he is going to be a talent for years to come on the Giants, he knows he's going to have to adapt to staff changes. That's just what it's going to have to be. He can't have a personal coach in this game. And so he'll be good. He'll still be playing his ass off no matter what. He's still probably going to be a thorn in the side for us in the NFC East for years to come. It'll be fine. I think now, is it a surprising move? I don't know. I do know that it was the right move.
I think in terms of the surprising part, I think the timing of it is what surprised me. Like I think if you would asked me after this game this past weekend, do I think Dable is done as the coach, like completely done as of today as the coach of the Giants? I don't think I would have said yes. But once you heard it happen, you're like, yeah, that makes sense. And also on top,
do you guys want to hear the? Well, this is getting off topic again, but do you guys want to hear the official breakdown for the AL MVP race?
I saw it, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so obviously we know this. Judge 17 first place votes, Raleigh 13 first place votes, so finished second. Jose Ramirez had 19 third place votes. So basically we knew it was a two-man race. But Jose Ramirez 19 third place votes. Kind of surprising. I mean, not too surprising, obviously, but Bobby Witt Jr. with the 9 third place votes, 19 fourth place. So he got fourth. Julio Rodriguez is a weird one. He finished sixth in this. I don't know why. He didn't have a great season. I'm kind of surprised that he snuck in there. Same with. I'm surprised that Caminero was that far down. He only got one vote, and it was for third place. That kind of surprised me because he really had a good season. So I don't know. I'm kind of surprised how that fell, but
that's kind of random.
Yeah, he's all the way down. I think what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He basically finished 9th. So that's kind of rough.
Yeah, what site is that on the BBWAA?
Rob put it in the chat just now. That's why I was trying to find it.
Yeah. Let me look at it. This is one that says every MLB player who received exactly one MVP vote: Ellie De La Cruz, Nico Herner, Ketel Marte, Seiya Suzuki, Aroldis Chapman, Yandy Diaz, and Jacob Wilson.
Aroldis Chapman.
I mean, when you think about the season he had, it kind of makes sense, but
yeah, it's. Let me.
Are we talking MVP or a comeback player?
MVP.
Aroldis Chapman.
Yeah, he got. I can't tell where the.
Suddenly, my warming Bernabelle thing doesn't make it makes a little bit more sense.
This is gonna be great for next season. That's why we're gonna lead it off.
What happened?
We're gonna lead it off with that because now Jay's got the warming Bernabelle MVP agenda for 2026.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I can't see where he fell on the list, but it's not on the top. However, it was top 12. I think that list goes. Yeah, 12. So it's not on the top 12. The only top 12 that was on the Red Sox was Garrett Crochet, and he had one vote for 5th place. It's kind of interesting to me.
Bit more sense than friggin' Aroldis Chapman.
Did you say Chapman?
Yeah.
I mean, not the worst nickname in the world. With that being said, we've gone as we expected, way past the 1 hour mark, but I think we're gonna go watch get some of that that TNF going. Remind me, what's the game tonight?
Jets Pats.
Yeah, Jets Pats.
Jets Pats. That's right.
Yeah, it's actually not that bad so far, believe it or not.
I took the Pats in my I have a weekly last man standing pool, and I took the Pats this week in that because it's one of the ones where this isn't how the ones I usually go, but it's one of the ones where once you've picked a team, you can't repeat that team, and basically every team worth picking other than the Patriots I've already taken. So
you're coming down to the end then. So
yeah, and guess what? I just realized I did.
What? Oh. Did you not
forgot to take our damn pick 'em again. I need to just start setting a weekly alarm to do my pick 'em. I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. As soon as we log off here, I'm gonna go and do them for Sunday, so I don't completely screw myself.
Yeah.
But oh my goodness, I can't. That's gotta be the 6th week in a row I've done that. But oh my goodness. Well, any final thoughts from you guys? Any closing statements before we go and watch football and, for me, have dinner?
Yeah, ESPN, YouTube TV, work out a damn deal. I'm not doing this another Monday.
They still haven't reached a deal?
I don't know. I haven't heard one. I mean, I can check, but
well, it's like I said the other day. I mean, did you guys get the $20 credit that they put on your bill for all this going on?
I did.
Well, you know, I don't need that. So,
well, I got that.
And I won't say no to free money.
Well, I got it, and you know what? Thank you. But so here's the thing: ESPN and YouTube TV. I can't watch no football on Andrew Jackson's face.
Damn right.
See you next week, November 20th, 2025, for Jack. For Brandon.
Whoa.
Brandon, Jay, and Scoop.